Welcome to Dyson Sphere Program. My name is Nilaus, and this is an early look at the upcoming amazing update for Dyson Sphere Program called Rise of the Darkfog. Today, Gamera Games released a trailer and a gameplay video and announced the release in December. I've watched these videos too many times already, and I would like to present and discuss what I see, what I think, and what I hope and fear. This is a major update, probably the biggest they've added to the game, and it's not even a paid update to what can easily be considered a complete game. So really amazing to see such a big update coming if you already own the game. The focus of the update is the appearance of the Darkfog, an all-consuming AI race that spreads through the galaxy, consuming resources as it moves forward. In the beginning of the game, it'll be docile and observe the player, but as the player expands and conquers planets and starts building Dyson spheres, confrontation with the Darkfog will be inevitable. The real challenge is to retain the core experience of the game. This is a factory game, and balancing the Darkfog to make it a fun and interesting challenge without turning the game into a planetary tower defense is going to be a challenge. The new enemy faction will exist both in space and on planets, with space platforms that are sort of disconnected from the planets and just exist in a solar system, with orbital platforms that are sort of hovering over the planet, and with ground buildings that are connected with space elevators to the orbital platforms, and with swarms of robots both in space and on the ground and in the air. So it seems to be all aspects of the game are going to be touched by the Darkfog. This means solutions to kicking them off the planet need to be there, but also to remove them entirely from the sector. Only the planet-based combat is presented in this released concept for now, but there are hints about how the space combat might work out as well. The Darkfog update introduces new research for weapons, for ammo, for shield, for planetary protection, as well as a tech for near-instant reconstruction of destroyed buildings. So all the things that you would expect to see added when you add combat elements to the game. Let's take a look at the gameplay trailer and go through all the stuff we see in more detail. I believe that once we learn how to play with the Darkfog, we will not be able to imagine the game without this addition. The main weakness, in my opinion, of the current state of DSP is the lack of objectives and lack of external pressure. You can take as long time as you like, you can expand as much as you like, you can build as big or as small as you like without any constraints. The Darkfog will definitely change this completely, and I for one welcome our AI adversaries. So what we're seeing here in the beginning is actually that already on our starting planet we have the Darkfog already expanding. Maybe this is a setting thing. We can also see that they're in orbit as well. And we have this little swarm and how it expands. This is the orbital platform, and then it expands down to the ground and sends out a massive swarm. Actually, looks very early game. There are different kinds of robots coming in as well. Here we have again the swarm. You can see that they come in. They're docile in the beginning, so they don't really interact at all with any of what's happening in the base. In orbit, the structures, they're also like a fleet of vehicles or starships maybe hovering around here. The settings for a new game are also something that's of course being added. There's another big setting here. Also look at the background animation. This looks amazing. So you can change it like in Factorio, the growth factor, the aggression factor, all those things can be changed and how occupied they are, and you can see it on the star map, which is brilliant as well. So that should be a really interesting thing to get to start with. But you can also just turn up everything to a death world setting, and then you'll be rewarded with more metadata. Not the biggest impact, but it's nice that you can get something out of it. Definitely a challenge here. And well, that's going to be a result. The base is destroyed. Look at the ILS destroyed over in the corner there. So as we venture out into space, we will be discovering them. They will start out around the black holes. This looks absolutely gorgeous. There's such a cool style for the Darkfog that's unique, and how the base is just expanding. This is how it goes from sort of being an orbital thing, and then it builds a space elevator down, and then it starts expanding onto the base. Also something I've been wondering how that works, and that's also how you sort of dislodge them from a planet again. When they sort of establish their presence on a planet, they can start expanding out and, well, start wrecking the base. I hope this is not how we should be expecting to see it in the beginning, because this base is kind of modest for such a big attack. It also seems like the Icarus robot doesn't have any weapons by itself, that only sort of static defenses are the only way to protect the base and also attack as well. This thing, I have no idea what it is. We can see that there's a starbase up here, but between those, I would call them electromagnetic rings. Maybe it's just the yellow ring is, of course, some solar sails. But we're back here. Our solar cell shooters are being destroyed by the invasion, but luckily we have new research. Also here, if we just take a little bit of a pause, we can actually see that there is other research on the screen as well. What we see here is that we have the ammo research, and we have cannon shells as well. But look at the bottom row here: fighter type F, warship type A, warship type F. Very interesting, and something that is not mentioned at all in this series, but something that indicates that we will also be able to maybe have our own fleet battling the fleet in orbit. So that's an interesting perspective as well. The different turrets starts out with a gauss turret that shoots bullets and has a high firing rate. You probably need to feed it with belts, as you can see here, and I think that's going to be the base one. Is also like blue tech, so really early game you get that. Implosion turret is shooting cannonballs, but more of an AoE target, so that's a little bit better. Probably also has a bit of range and a different type of ammo. You can see again the belt flows all the way through, which is really what I like to see here. Laser turrets doesn't require ammo, which is nice, but probably requires a lot more power comparatively. So maybe there are different attack types and different weapon types against different enemies, or maybe that's just whatever you have spare of. Missile launcher is also unique in the sense that it can also reach space. It's not just ground and air, but it can actually also shoot into space. So that's a new unique thing about the missile launcher that is interesting, and we don't really know how that works yet. Lastly is the supernova cannon or plasma cannon, which sort of charges up over time, and when it charges up, it just goes into a massive explosion. You can see it coming in and charging, just a massive explosion around it, which is nice to have that. Luckily, we also have some defenses in terms of energy shields. The energy shields will be, well, obviously going to be taking our power, so you'll need to feed it with fuel, and when you run around here, again, it doesn't look like we have any offensive capabilities, so this is basically just run around and do repairs and that kind of thing. Coming in close to a proximity of a landing site at the space elevator, and maybe sort of dragging them back to our defensive line. And we see here our base is getting destroyed pretty severely, and that's going to be one of the things that I was concerned about, like how much time are we going to spend just rebuilding, because if you just don't have defenses, then so many attackers will absolutely destroy your base super quickly, and that can be like really unfortunate. Luckily, they've thought about it, and there is this reconstitution or reconstruction that builds it instantly from sort of the wreckage if you have the materials. So that is absolutely gorgeous, and something so that you don't have to put so much time on rebuilding. As long as you have the materials, so it still kind of cost the materials, but it's not going to cost in terms of time. And so we need to build up our base and get out on different planets here. Looking at it, this is a late game thing, and as long as we have the resources, then we are nearby, then Icarus can actually auto repair faster, and that can sort of be a way to sustain the ability. And then it's our turn to attack. This is really my kind of way to attack, is with beautiful designs of blueprints that coming in here, summoning stuff. The ILS is summoning stuff inbound, and well, then as long as they're powered, they will start shooting all of this. And that was the supernova triggering as well. So you can see that on the planet we can have like multiple locations that come in, which is a really interesting perspective. This part is about like when you destroy the landing area, then the space elevator part, the orbital part, disengages, and I think that's how you sort of remove them from from your planet entirely. But there's still something waiting in space that we don't know anything about. That's going to be really interesting. And of course, as towards the end of the game, things get a little more dicey, and there are space lasers, and there will also be planetary shields to protect against those. But it seems like there are many more tricks. Look at that, those shields absorbing some of it, but not all of it, and the base getting absolutely destroyed. So there's definitely a lot of things to look forward to in the Darkfog Rising, or Rise of the Darkfog, when it comes out in December. So stay tuned to the channel. I will be covering all updates, and I will be, of course, covering massively the launch of this with tutorials, guides, let's plays, all that stuff. So make sure you are subscribed to the channel and follow here for more updates. Thank you for watching. Until next time, take care and stay effective.